What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Caleb's Kung Fu Cinema. Of course, I am Caleb, and I know it's been a while since I did a full-fledged video here on the channel, but before I get started, I want to encourage everybody to like this video and leave a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel because we are getting pretty close to 1,000 subscribers. We haven't quite reached it yet, but we are close. So anybody who's watching, if you're not subscribed, I'd greatly appreciate it if you did so that we can get to 1,000 subscribers. And don't forget to click the link tree down in the description so you guys can check out the Retired Caleb's Kung Fu Cinema podcast and follow me on Instagram, Letterboxd, all that good stuff. And yeah, that's it. That's my plug for subscriptions and all that good stuff. Today, for this video, I decided to do something big and do something special. Everybody on this channel, hopefully everybody on this channel knows at this point that Bruce Lee is my hero. He's pretty much the reason why I do this channel. I remember 5 years ago, whenever the Bruce Lee Criterion set came out, I was really excited. I've always loved Bruce Lee, and so when I found out about that release, I decided to get it because I hadn't seen all of Bruce's movies in a while, and I especially hadn't seen them in really good quality. I always had pretty lackluster VHS quality. That's what I was used to. So to find out that they were getting a big Blu-ray release, that was really exciting. So yeah, that's what brought us here. I bought the Bruce Lee Criterion set, and here I am 5 years later doing Caleb's Kung Fu Cinema on YouTube, and I had the podcast as well. But yeah, so in celebration, recognition of all that good stuff, today I'm going to take on the pretty daunting task of ranking Bruce Lee's films. But before I get started with my ranking, I do want to throw in a few disclaimers before we actually get started. For starters, I do want it to be known that I am not saying I dislike any of Bruce Lee's movies, like depending on whichever spot I put them in. That is not indicative of the film. I love Bruce Lee's movies for what they are, but what I'm trying to do here is just kind of rank them in terms of my personal preference. So yeah, anything, wherever I place these movies, I'm not saying that they're bad movies. I'm just putting like what I prefer over the other. And then another thing I want to throw out there is the situation with Game of Death. So I do realize that that many people, whenever it comes to ranking Bruce Lee's movies, I've seen a lot of other videos where people rank his movies, and what I want to do here is just go ahead and throw out that I am not going to be including Game of Death on this rank list. I know that probably sounds a little crazy to everybody, but personally for me, I do not consider Game of Death to be a actual Bruce Lee movie. Yes, it did use footage from an unfinished film that Bruce Lee was going to make, but he obviously did not live to actually see this project all the way through. So yeah, and the Game of Death that we did get was not really in any way Bruce Lee's vision. So personally, I just didn't really feel the need to throw that one into the rankings here, because anyone who is a fan of Bruce Lee would probably throw Game of Death at the bottom of the list. But I don't want to do that because, again, I don't consider it a full-fledged Bruce Lee movie. I don't think it's anywhere near what he had in mind. Had he lived to finish Game of Death, it obviously would have been a very different story. And another thing with Game of Death is that I actually really do enjoy that movie for what it is. So I guess you could just call it an honorable mention right here. The movie does have a lot of issues, but it's still a lot of fun. I actually just watched that movie a few days ago because it's just really entertaining. But yeah, just to clear the air right there, I will again not be including Game of Death on this list. All right, so without any further ado, let's get things started. All right, here we go. Let's get things started. Kicking off with number 4, I have The Big Boss. Once again, I do not dislike this movie. I actually love it. The Big Boss is really, really good. It's very fun. It was a really important movie. Obviously, it was Bruce Lee's first major leading role, and so there's a great level of importance to this one. And I do have a lot of very fond memories watching this movie when I was growing up, and and I still watch it here and there whenever I'm in the mood for it. But I do still have a few slight issues with this movie. Again, I am saying this in good faith. I guess I could put it that way. The issues that I have with the Big Boss, as great as it is whenever things like kick off and Bruce Lee actually starts fighting and like trying to like solve the mysteries and get revenge and stuff like that. All that is a lot of really fun stuff, but the issue I have is that it takes a while to get going. Like it really takes a while because everybody kind of knows the story that whenever they did this, they weren't sure what they were really gonna like. Golden Harvest wasn't really sure what they were gonna do with Bruce because when the movie starts, obviously there's a good bit of focus on James Tien's character Xu Sheng, but this was kind of there was a from what I understand, there was like kind of a screen test thing going on, and they decided that it was better to focus on Xu Sheng, but then kill him off halfway through, and then focus on Bruce Lee's character Chang Wan for the remainder of the film. And again, while it is great whenever Bruce Lee is doing his thing, it just takes too long for me, in my opinion. It takes too long to get going. It's a very a very slow burn. And there's also just some other things about the movie, like a lot of really small things, and a lot of people will say I'm nitpicking here probably, but I mean it's just things that I can't help but notice, and it just kind of makes me go, ugh, I don't know about that. There's a lot of strange things like with a lot of the background characters and like a lot of the stuntmen in the fight scenes of this movie, where a lot of them appear to kind of miss their mark, or which I'm not saying it's an easy job or anything like that. I know like doing like fight scenes and stunts and stuff like that. I know how difficult that can be. So in a way I understand, but at the same time, it's just kind of a weird thing that I noticed that a lot of them seem to kind of miss their mark, or there's even a moment in like the first fight scene of the movie with Xu Sheng fighting all the thugs. There's a moment you kind of have to go back and see it, but there's a moment where one of the guys that Xu Sheng hits, he doesn't really seem to react to it all that much. He just kind of it's almost like he does like a very slight reaction and then just kind of walks out of the shot. That was just something kind of strange that I noticed with that one. So yeah, I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but I mean, it's just things that I couldn't help but notice with that one. But yeah, again, I don't have a problem, or a huge problem rather, with The Big Boss. It's still a very fun movie, but I think as far as Bruce Lee's movies go, yeah, I got to put this one at number 4. And another small thing I forgot to add about this movie that always kind of bugged me is after Bruce's first big moment in the the big ice factory riot, whenever he finally decides to jump in and do something and fight back, that moment is great. But there's also kind of the issue of after that, there is just a lot of downtime and just a lot of other kind of goofy things going on, like with Bruce like meeting with the manager and like all these other people and having dinner with them and getting drunk. I do understand I understand the context of it, and I understand like what the characters were trying to do with Bruce's character and everything like that, but that still always just kind of irritated me how he had a really great moment, but then there's just a lot of other kind of boring stuff going on afterwards. Up next at number 3, we've got The Way of the Dragon. Yeah, again, I know it might be a little crazy kind of placing this one at number 3, but again, this is a great movie. I love The Way of the Dragon. It's very unique. It's interesting to kind of see what Bruce would have done with a in an action comedy type movie, because this movie has a lot of really funny moments. Bruce himself is a very quirky character, and there's just a lot of other like kind of slapstick moments with other characters, like mainly like the villains and stuff like that. And of course, everybody knows the iconic fight between Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris in the Coliseum at the end of the movie. And another thing that's really important about this movie is that it was Bruce's directorial debut. He did everything with this movie. He directed it. He wrote it. He did the choreography. He even helped with the music, which is crazy. He did so many cool things with this movie. But but the kind of issue I have here is that personally for me, I like seeing Bruce Lee to be I like seeing him serious. You know, in this movie, yeah, he has moments where he's serious, but there are a lot of other moments where he's just kind of goofy, like kind of clownish, and it's funny. I mean, it works, but at the same time, it's just like I see and I'm just like, I don't know if this is quite the way I like to see Bruce Lee. But granted, it does still work, and again, I mean, if Bruce, had been able to do more, he probably would have been able to kind of evolve, the his comedy, his comedic abilities. I should say. I'll rephrase it that way, but yeah, I do still love the way the dragon. The fight scenes are really good. Bruce's choreography is excellent. It's very quick and very crisp and very clean. I've always had kind of a very small gripe with his final fight with Chuck Norris. I do like it. It's a very good fight scene. It's probably Bruce's best one out of every movie he did. But I always kind of it always kind of bugged me a little bit how how the fight scene started out being it was started out as one-sided for Chuck Norris, but then Bruce he adapts and starts like bouncing around, and he kind of figures it out, and he just starts dominating the fight. I would have liked it to be a little bit more back and forth instead of going from being one-sided to just being one-sided. I think more back and forth would have made it more exciting. But even with that still aside, I still like it for what it is. The Way of the Dragon is still a really fun movie. But yeah, that's it for number 3. Yep, here it is. At number 2, Enter the Dragon. So here's the deal with that one. I'm not gonna act like I haven't said this before. I'm not gonna deny it or anything like that. I have said before. You guys can go back and check out my podcast episode on Enter the Dragon. I did an episode on it. I've talked about it here before. I have said that this is probably one of the most one of the most overrated kung fu movies in the history of that industry, and I still stand by that. I do think Enter the Dragon is I'd say probably the second most, if not the first, if not like the top overrated movie in the martial arts movie industry. Many people consider this, you can read a lot of articles, you see a lot of other ranking videos and stuff like that, kind of throw Enter the Dragon as number 1 greatest kung fu movie of all time. And while it is definitely one of the most successful, I wouldn't say it's the best one ever. It's still great, and obviously you guys at this point know what my number 1 is going to be, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Enter the Dragon. As far as Bruce Lee goes, I would still say, yeah, this is my second favorite Bruce Lee movie. I only have a small gripe with it, and that is the way the fight scenes are shot. I don't like the way it's done. There's like a lot of weird there's a lot of slow-mo, just kind of strange moments. There's a lot of weird close-ups and stuff like that. I don't really like that stuff. But that's kind of like my only issue with Enter the Dragon. If the fight scenes had been shot better, I probably wouldn't even have an issue with this movie. I still think it's great. I love how James Bond-esque it is. I'm a big James Bond fan. Everybody knows that Enter the Dragon took inspiration from those espionage spy films and stuff like that. But yeah, the thing that I do love here is like the cast in general is great. The story is great. The story was obviously very influential. Enter the Dragon inspired a lot of stuff, not just other movies, but video games. We probably wouldn't have games like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat or Double Dragon if it wasn't for Enter the Dragon. The movie, so yeah, again, the movie was very influential, and the cast is great. We have Bruce Lee, who is incredible. He has a very, very commanding presence on the screen, but we also have other great actors like Jim Kelly, John Saxon, Shi Ken. We get Bolo, who is awesome to see in this movie. Yeah, I gotta just be honest right there. I think this is Bruce Lee's second best movie. Again, yeah, it's overrated, and even if I don't even if I don't agree that it's like the best kung fu movie ever made, I don't think it is, obviously, but it's still a lot of fun. It's definitely a movie that I would say people need to check out. If someone asked me, give me 5 kung fu movies to watch, and this would probably be one of them. And if it wasn't, I would throw it in as an honorable mention, something like that. But yeah, at number 2, my second favorite Bruce Lee movie, it's got to be Enter the Dragon. Okay, if it wasn't obvious enough already, we are at my number 1 Bruce Lee movie. That is Fist of Fury. Yeah, I it's hard to it's kind of hard for me to like say in like a small amount of time how much I love Fist of Fury, and I don't, and at the risk of stating the obvious, it is probably the most influential movie on my life, really, as far as like what I'm doing here, as far as all this goes, everything you guys see here. It was because of Fist of Fury. It's I don't want to ramble too long or anything like that, but Fist of Fury was to this day, for me, it is still an incredible movie. I remember the first time I saw it when I was really, really young. And I know it'll sound crazy, but I was 3 years old, and you know I don't remember a whole lot, but I remember the first time I saw Bruce Lee on screen, and it was in Fist of Fury. And I remember him going into the Japanese dojo, confronting all those judokas in the school, and returning that sign that said "Sick Men of Asia" on it, and I remember him just taking them all out one by one by himself, and I remember being floored and being glued to the screen. And then he pulled out the nunchucks, and it was it was amazing. It was just life changing, and I still, every time I turn this movie on, I think of that moment. I think of that moment, and I think of all the other times I watched this movie when I was growing up. I watched this movie on a daily basis, and it's actually been a good minute since I watched it here at home or anything like that. But yeah, it's just it's hard, like, obviously I'm having a hard time kind of explaining why I love this movie so much, but again, it was just influential for me. And to talk about the movie itself, well, before I wrap it up, I'll talk about what I love about the movie in particular. For starters, not just that it was my first experience with Bruce Lee, but I love the way Bruce is in this movie. I love his presence. Like in this one, it is so intense. For me, this is him at his most intense, and for me, like that was Bruce Lee. That was him. Like his determination, his loyalty to his school and his classmates and his teacher, and wanting to right the wrongs that have been done to him in his school, and avenging his teacher, and trying to get that retribution and stuff like that. Everything that happens in that movie, everything that drives him to do what he's doing, it was it was just really it was impactful for me. And I, as crazy as it sounds, I mean, it taught me a lot, and even now, I mean, I still think about those things anytime I watch this movie. The fights are great. That first big fight scene that I just mentioned is amazing. The big final action sequence when he returns to the school and fights everyone inside, and then goes outside, fights Robert Baker's character, fights the big villain Suzuki. Then we get Bruce's nunchucks against Suzuki's katana. It was just so cool, and for me, that is that's Bruce Lee. I think Fist of Fury is like the quintessential Bruce Lee movie. But again, that's just my opinion. This is completely subjective. For me, For me, it's Fist of Fury. Other people might say it's The Big Boss or The Way of the Dragon or Enter the Dragon, something like that. But you know, whichever way you want to look at it, it was just Bruce. You know, it was Bruce Lee. He could do it all, and I guess that is where I'll wrap this up. Yeah, Bruce Lee was the best. He was the best to ever do it. Nobody's ever gonna top what he did. Everybody who has come after him has, you know, found a way to kind of do their own thing. Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, they all found ways to like become their own person, and you know, and that's all great. But obviously, you know, it can't be said enough how influential Bruce Lee was on this. Again, you know, he's why I do all this. And you know, I keep looking. I have a big framed picture of Bruce right here in my studio. It's him, you know, doing a sidekick from Enter the Dragon, and I know I keep looking up at it. If you guys notice, I keep looking up. That's what I'm looking at. But yeah, it's yeah. Again, it's hard to you know, understate how influential he was. So yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough. Yes, that is my ranking of Bruce Lee's movies. We did it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate everyone if you guys stuck with me through this entire ranking. I hope no one is hope no one's like screaming at me or smashing their keyboards or their phones, whatever it is you guys are watching this on. But yeah, that's my personal ranking of Bruce Lee's movies. Again, I love all these. I'm not saying The Big Boss is horrible. I'm not saying Fist of Fury is the greatest movie ever made. Yeah, this again was just kind of my personal preference. Everybody's list would obviously be different, but yeah, that's all I got to say about this one. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. Again, subscribe to the channel. We are almost at 1,000 subscribers, so I'd greatly appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you guys think of my ranking. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Either way, that's totally fine. I love to hear what everyone has to say. I love interacting with everybody. Let me know what your favorite Bruce Lee movie is, what your least favorite is. Let me know what you guys wish, you know, we could have gotten out of Bruce, you know, had he lived to do more movies. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, again, I know it's been a while since I did a full-fledged video, but I decided this would be a fun one, and I never actually ranked Bruce's movies, so I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and what the hell, let's do it now. So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So again, I appreciate it. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.